भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्चात दिशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तरस शिष्य दिवांगेश ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तरस शिष्य दिवांगेश भक्ति सिद्धांत गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोधाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नदी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gaura.
Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. And welcome to everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024 in New York. And tonight we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 10, verse number 21. So glad you could be with us, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, entitled Sati Quits Her Body, text number 21. मावः पदव्यः पितरत् स्मदास्थिता या यज्ञशालासु न धूमवर्मद्भिः तद् अन्न तृप्तिर असु ब्रूध्रीरयिता अव्यक्तलिंग अवधूत सेविता. My dear father, the opulence we possesses is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulence simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self-realized souls. Purport. Sati's father was under the impression that he was exalted in both prestige and opulence, and that he had offered his daughter to a person who was not only poor but devoid of all culture. Her father might have been thinking that although she was a chaste woman, greatly adherent to her husband was in a deplorable condition. To counteract such thoughts, Sati said that the opulence possessed by her husband could not be understood by materialistic persons like Daksha and his followers, who were flatterers and were engaged in fruitive activities. Her husband's position was different. He possessed all opulences, but he did not like to exhibit them. Therefore, such opulences are called avyakta or unmanifested. But if required, simply by willing, Lord Shiva can show his wonderful opulences, and such an event is predicted here, for it would soon occur. The opulence Lord Shiva possesses is enjoyable in renunciation and love of God, not in material exhibition of sense gratificatory method. Such opulences are possessed by personalities like the Kumaras, Narada, and Lord Shiva, not by others. Ekendra Prabhu.
Oh, I thought we could pause here and see if Maharaj might have something to say on this, right?
Okay.
Well, let's see. Om Jnana-timirandasya Galanjanasya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Ram Rupa Kada Mahyam Tatati Shapadantika Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shanti Namni Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurati Prachani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Deshata Manchako Padurubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The our opulence is not like your opulence. Your opulence is this rests in false prestige and position. But the opulence of Lord Shiva, Prabhupada says, is located in renunciation and love for Krishna. And therefore can't be understood. Those who don't have sufficient pious credit or devotional credit can't understand the activities of a pure devotee. Vaishnava Kriya Mudra Vigeha Namudra. It's hard to understand the transcendental activities of a devotee like Lord Shiva. But so the Kumaras, Narada, Lord Shiva, they're not wealthy like Daksha, but they have far greater opulence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Mahesh Prabhu, you wanted me to read the next part of the purport?
Actually, I was thinking about it. The opulence of people like Daksha, they're like weeds. We hear that Lord Shiva wears a garland of weeds, a garland of bones, but it's deceptive. His actual opulence, that's his renunciation, sign of his renunciation. But the opulences of people like Daksha, they're just like weeds. They interfere with the real purpose of life. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. In this verse, the performers of the Vedic rituals are condemned. They have been described here as Dhuma Vartma Biha, those who maintain themselves on the remnants of sacrificial foodstuff. There are two kinds of foodstuff offered in sacrifice. One kind is food offered in ritualistic sacrifices, and the others, the best, is food offered to Vishnu. Although in all cases Vishnu is the chief deity on the sacrificial altar, the performer of fruitive rituals aim to satisfy various demigods to achieve in return some material prosperity. The real sacrifice, however, is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, and the remnant of such sacrifices are beneficial for advancement in devotional service. The process of elevation by performing sacrifices other than those aimed at Vishnu is very slow, and therefore it has been condemned in this verse. Vishwanath Chakravarti has described the ritualistic performers to be like crows, because crows delight in eating the remnants of food which has been thrown into the dustbin. All the Brahmanas who were present for the sacrifice were also condemned by Sati. Whether
couple
or
of points
not,
here.
yes.
First, there's an editorial error in this section. Those who follow the Vedic rituals have been described here as tomb of Artmapi, those who maintain themselves on the remnants of sacrificial foodstuffs. That's clearly wrong. There's two words here, Tadanda Triptai and tomb of Artmapi. Tadanda Triptai means those who are satisfied by the remnants of sacrificial foodstuffs. And tomb of Artmapi means on the path of sacrifices. In the first canto, that statement is made by the Naimisharanya sages that we're here for this 1,000-year sacrifices, this 1,000-year sacrifice, and we really don't know what the outcome is. All we know is that our faces are getting black from the smoke.
Mhm.
So that's tomb of Artmapi, the path of tomb of literally smoke. We're on the path of smoke, and we don't know what the result is going to be. So that's where Daksha is. He's performing these sacrifices. There's a lot of smoke, and there's going to be sacrificial remnants that he'll be able to maintain himself on. But Chakravarti Thakur says it's just like, Daksha, you're just like a crow. The crows come and eat the remnants of food. So you're eating these sacrificial remnants, and you're satisfied with that. Hare Krishna. Oh, then there's something else. No, those were the points. Hare Krishna.
Whether or not King Daksha and his flatterers could understand the position of Lord Shiva, Sati wanted to impress upon her father that he should not think her husband to be without opulence. Sati, being the devoted wife of Lord Shiva, offered all kinds of material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva. This fact is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in 10th canto. Lord Shiva's worshippers sometimes appear more opulent than the worshippers of Lord Vishnu because Durga or Sati, being the superintendent in charge of material affairs, can offer all material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva in order to glorify her husband, whereas the worshippers of Vishnu are meant for spiritual elevation, and therefore their material opulence is sometimes found to decrease. These points are very nicely discussed in 10th canto. Go ahead, Maharaj.
No, I have nothing to add here.
Okay.
The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is notable. Is that Kendra? Do you want to look at the commentary? Or?
Sure. Yeah, I was also looking at that. Here's the commentary. He's giving subtext for the various sides of the conversation. So the first subtext he gives is the thoughts of Daksha. It is my misfortune that I, with the greatest wealth and good conduct, have a daughter who is living in the house of a lowly beggar. Since you are the ocean of good qualities and crest jewel of purity, you should not tolerate Shiva's bad behavior. End quote. So end of thought there. Then he goes on. She rebukes her father with these words. O father, I have taken shelter of siddhis, power, renunciation, knowledge, and prema, which give happiness. These you do not possess. You will not attain these in millions of births. And then the back and forth continues. Why do you say that? I also have powers. End quote. Such attainments cannot be attained in the sacrificial arena. They are not praised. There's some proofreading that needs to get done that didn't get done here, I think. They are not praised by filling the belly like a crow or by following the path of karma. Dhuma Vartmabihi. Anyway, these powers, unavailable by these methods of Yaktalinga, are possessed by Sanaka, Narada, and others. Then a Sanskrit point, the past participle sevita has a present meaning. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, it's interesting that Daksha Maharaj didn't know the position of her own daughter, Sati.
Because he's blinded. What is that? Durmadandha, in the Kavya Durmadandha. Why should the sannyasis go flatter people who are blinded by material assets? That's Daksha's position. He's blinded. He's got some material opulences and he thinks he's in a position to criticize the most worshipable person among the demigods, who's practically on the level of Lord Vishnu. So he can't. He's angry also that I've been insulted by my inferior son-in-law has failed to recognize me. So he's really blinded, and that's what happens. We find that in with the Nalakuva and Manigriva. They're so blinded, in their case, by alcohol and or intoxication anyway, and women, that they don't even notice that Narad Muni is there and think that, well, we at least have to show some decency. So Daksha also it's, what is that? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibrama. Because of anger, one becomes bewildered. And by bewilderment, loss of memory, then smriti brahmashad buddhi nasho, then you lose your intelligence, and buddhi nashat pranashiti, then you're finished.
Thank you, Maharaj. Ras Prabhu.
We have something in the chat, actually.
Okay.
Prabhin Krishna Prabhu asks, can Daksha and party be considered Vaishnavas, since it doesn't seem they're having any worship of Lord Vishnu?
If they're considered Vaishnavas, then they're considered Vaishnavas like the Yogic Brahmins. The Yogic Brahmins, they know that we have to offer sacrifices to Lord Vishnu as part of our program, but they don't really understand their eternal relationship with Lord Vishnu. So we sometimes find this. People are officially Vaishnavas, but they don't act like Vaishnavas. They haven't assimilated or realized what it means to be a Vaishnava. Yes, we respect Lord Vishnu. We offer, or sometimes they think, yes, our Ishta Devata is Vishnu, but they don't really think that makes that they don't have the understanding that Lord Vishnu is more than one's chosen deity. He's not, well, just an optional choice. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they're not characterized here as Vaishnavas. Later we find that, earlier we find also that Daksha is given his position by Lord Vishnu. He's obediently accepts it and so on. So there's something, but certainly not what we expect from a realized Vaishnava. If a Vaishnava at all. He's certainly not a Shaivite, though.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Praveen Krishna Prabhu goes on to say,
You can just read the translation.
okay. Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the
Why just
trees
read the translation? Let's get the collect the
Chirani
Sanskrit.
King
Let's hear it.
Patina Santi Dishanti Bhiksham Naevang Grahipa Britta Sarita Pyasuyan Ashushyan Rudha Guha Kimajito Vatino Pasannan Kasmad Bhajanti Kavayo Dhanadur Madhandan. Are there no torn clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees which exist for maintaining others no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers, being dried up, no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or, above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then do the learned sages go to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth? Hare Krishna.
Next.
And Radhesha Prabhu says, I may have misheard what the commentary said. Do you think the mention of the crow has something to be with its being a carrion eater? Praise is similarly repulsive.
Well, as Kendra Prabhu mentioned, it seems that praise is probably an editorial lapse, but could be. But I don't think it's a carrion eater because the context here is taking the remnants of things. So usually you'd think of crows swooping in where people have discarded their plates and so on. That seems to be the context for the comparison to crows. Although, yeah, although it's also true that when we get into the business of feeding on dead bodies, then the big birds they get the lion's share. Well, they get the eagle's share and the vulture's share. The crows get the remnants. So from that point of view, I suppose one could make that point.
Venkatesh Prabhu has a question. What did Prabhupada say about reciting the Sanskrit of the verse if the speaker and the audience don't know Sanskrit?
You said it would be purifying, even if people don't know it. Just the sound vibration itself is purifying. Certainly, he didn't expect that we would know Sanskrit, really know Sanskrit, but he had it taught us that in the Bhagavatam class we should chant the verses, and even while speaking, he's encouraged us to cite Sanskrit verses. He said that makes things very authoritative. So, yes, even if people, and Prabhupada used to do it, he would cite, he's talking to John Lennon and he's citing Sanskrit verses because it's purifying. And it indicates authority also. And it gives insight into the meaning, even if one doesn't understand the Sanskrit, if we have the advantage of the word for word meanings, then it gives us further insight into what's being said.
Okay, Ross Prabhu, next, please.
Naitena Dehena Hare Kagaso Hod Baba Nilam Alam Ujan Manan Rida Mababu Ujana Prasam Ratas Tajama Digyo Ahatam Avad Yakrit. Translation. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately I have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship, and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the greatest personality. Purport. Lord Shiva is the greatest of all devotees of Lord Vishnu. It is stated, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest of all devotees of Lord Vishnu. In the previous verses, Sati has described that Lord Shiva is always in a transcendental position because he is situated in pure Vasudeva. Vasudeva is that state from which Krishna, Vasudeva, is born. So Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna. And Sati's behavior is exemplary because no one should tolerate blasphemy against Lord Vishnu or his devotee. Sati is aggrieved not for her personal association with Lord Shiva, but because her body is related with that of Daksha, who is an offender at Lord Shiva's lotus feet. She feels herself to be condemned because of the body given by her father, Daksha.
Yes, Maharaj.
The Chanakya Pandit says that if there's a fire in a tree and the whole forest catches fire, so if there's disgrace in the family, whole family is disgraced. We see that sometimes. So Sati feels contaminated that I'm the daughter of this offender, of this gross offender to such a Vaishnava as Lord Shiva. So she feels ashamed.
Thank you, Maharaj. Madhupati Prabhu.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले गुरुदास जयद्वैत स्वामी नमः। गोत्रां त्वदीयं भगवान् वृषध्वजो दक्षायानिति आह यदा सुदुर्मना व्यापेत नर्मस्मितम् आसु तदा अहं भ्रूत्रक्ष्य एतत् कुनपं त्वदङ्गजाम्। Translation. Because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappear. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up. Purport. The word Dakshayani means the daughter of King Daksha. Sometimes the word Dakshayani means the daughter of King Daksha. Sometimes when there was relaxed conversation between husband and wife, Lord Shiva used to call Sati the daughter of King Daksha. And because this very word reminded her about her family relationship with King Daksha, she at once became ashamed because Daksha was an incarnation of all offenses. Daksha was the embodiment of envy, for he unnecessarily blasphemed a great personality, Lord Shiva. Simply upon hearing the word Dakshayani, she felt afflicted because of reference to the context, because her body was a symbol of all the offensiveness with which Daksha was endowed. Since her body was constantly a source of unhappiness, she decided to give it up. मुद्गणपिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So here you see that Mother Sati is feeling morose as soon as she's addressed as Dakshayani or anything which references her lineage, that she's the daughter of Daksha, who is a offender to a greatest Vaishnava, as Lord Shiva, is the embodiment of envy. So the moment she's addressed as daughter of Daksha, that lineage, that Gotra, immediately she became morose, that her body came from her biological father, Daksha, and ultimately that moroseness, she felt that no, I should give up my body because it's a source of unhappiness. Now it's coming from this, my father being a great offender of my husband, Lord Shiva. Yeah. That's what I said. Ruma.
Just, you can imagine if you were the son or daughter of, a serial killer or one of those people who shoots up a schoolroom or something. How would you feel about your family relationship if someone called you, daughter of such and such? You'd feel, oh, no, they know, or whatever. Sometimes people in such circumstances change their names, just not to be associated with such a deplorable person. So Dakshayani has that feeling that I wish I weren't Dakshayani, or it's such a disgrace to be Dakshayani because Daksha is such an offender. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Radesh Prabhu.
I'm maybe not in I'm in a work environment, so I'm in
no
a
problem.
listening only capacity.
Okay, sure. Panchatattva Prabhu, are you available?
There's a question. That's wonderful. In the chat.
Yes, we have a question from Saraswati Mata. Pranams Param Puja Maharaj. I was watching Srimad Ramayan, where Sitama is leaving Lord Ram to go to the forest as a result of the washerman's criticism. She claims that spiritual willpower to always be situated in devotional service comes from the Guru's mercy, and that life is a sacrificial arena where ahoituki, offerings, is our unwavering duty in bhakti. She states their real opulence of pure love will never diminish, and that Lord Rama's love and duty towards the praja will be exemplary. So here is an example where the washerman's offensive actions bear no personal repercussions.
Why should we say no personal repercussions? If nothing else, he's certainly put himself in an unhappy spot in history. No one glorifies the washerman who criticized Lord Ram. Only perhaps Ram takes it as, yes, this is instructive for me, but the washerman goes down as being a small-minded and foolish, critical person. So if nothing else, he's disgraced himself. So so that's one repercussion. What is that? Well, worse than death, maranada tirichyate. Of course, washerman is not Sambhavita, not a very glorious person to begin with, but he's not even a respectable washerman. He's just seen as a stupid critic. Apart from whatever other, of course, in Lord Ram's pastimes, or in the pastimes of the personality of Godhead, these things are staged in such a way that it's not just ordinary karmic actions and reactions. So that's another point of view. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Mukesh has something here. He says, devotees of the Lord are so offended by insult of a great Vaishnav that they are ready to give up their body. Is this to be understood that although a devotee should be tolerant for personal discomfort, but when it comes to insult or blasphemy of a great Vaishnava, offenders, not sure how to read this, offenders have to be punished or avoided altogether? Is it okay to punish or teach a lesson or leave the scene like Mother Sati?
Yes, and it's mentioned, I think, in a previous purport, if not a coming purport, that we should, this is one of the takeaways from this section, and one shouldn't tolerate blasphemy. If you just sit there while someone's blaspheming a great devotee, then you incur, you're doing wrong, and you incur the reactions for that. So definitely one should not sit there. There's that Vedic, that injunction that's quoted. One shouldn't sit there. Either cut out the offender's tongue, or defeat him with arguments, or if you can't do that, then just leave. So someplace Prabhupada mentioned here that in Kali Yuga we don't kill people for these things. Their tongues also not will get you in serious legal tangles. But either we should defeat them roundly, or we should just go away. But definitely, we shouldn't sit and hear Vaishnavas blasphemed. It's toxic for our spiritual life. Even there was some incident in Mayapur where devotees visited one Gaudiya Math, and there were some comments made that Prabhupada interpreted as being derogatory toward his activities. Not direct criticism, but indirectly critical. And Prabhupada said that by hearing these things, we'd all been scarred. So one should not sit there and hear blasphemy. One thing is that you may start to think, well, yeah, it's really not so. Or we just pass it over, and it's not, we think, oh, it's not such a big thing. But Prabhupada gave that example by that you people are passing this unclean lavatory every day, and you're not saying anything. You've become accustomed to it. That means that you're in the mode of ignorance, because a person who's in a higher mode would want to know, why is this lavatory like this? How is this? So when we tolerate evil, then we become implicated in evil. So we shouldn't just be accommodating when Vaishnavas are bad-mouthed. We should object strenuously, defeat the person who's speaking, or else just holding our ears, leave at once. These instructions are meant for us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Panchatattva Prabhu says, leaving one's body is the ultimate way of leaving the scene.
Yes.
Okay, So, Panchatattva Prabhu. Text 24.
Yes. Maitreya uvacha ityadvare dakshamanujya satruhan shita udichim nishasad santavak spritva jalam pita dukula sambrita Emilia drig yoga patang samavisat. Maitreya the sage told Vidura, O annihilator of the enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. Purport. It is said that when a man desires to quit his body, he dresses in saffron garments. Therefore, it appears that Sati changed her dress, indicating that she was going to quit the body given her by Daksha. Daksha was Sati's father, so instead of killing Daksha, she decided that it would be better to destroy the part of his body which was hers. Thus, she decided to give up the body of Daksha by the yogic process. Sati was the wife of Lord Shiva, who is known as Yogeshwar, the best among all yogis, because he knows all the mystic processes of yoga. So it appeared that Sati also knew them. Either she learned yoga from her husband, or she was enlightened because she was the daughter of such a great king as Daksha. The perfection of yoga is that one can give up one's body or release oneself from the embodiment of material elements according to one's desire. Yogis who have attained perfection are not subject to death by natural laws. Such perfect yogis can leave the body whenever they desire. Generally, the yogi first of all becomes mature in controlling the air passing within the body, thus bringing the soul to the top of the brain. Then, when the body bursts into flames, the yogi can go anywhere he likes. This yoga system recognizes the soul, and thus it is distinct from the so-called yoga process for controlling the cells of the body, which has been discovered in the modern age. The real yoga process accepts the transmigration of the soul from one planet to another or one body to another, and it appears from this incident that Sati wanted to transfer her soul to another body or sphere. Actually, I have a question. Why did Maitreya, the sage, refer to Vidura as O annihilator of the enemies? I'm kind of curious about that. Guru Maharaj, would you know the answer to that question?
There's a comment someplace. Oh, there it is. Vishwanath says, comments on that. O killer of the enemies. This indicates that Sati, on the pretext of giving up her body, killed her enemy, Daksha. So she's, by giving up her body, she's at least partially killing Daksha. And that's the context of O killer of enemies.
So she's decided to give up the body by the yogic process. I'm trying to understand how her father could be so cold-hearted that he would be standing there or sitting there, mute and unresponsive in the face of all of these steps that Sati was taking. She changed her dress. She was announcing her intention. She's made it very clear that she's done with that part of herself that was given her by her father. So anyway, how hard and cold Daksha must have been. Of course, the perfection of yoga is described here, that one can give up one's body or release oneself from the embodiment of material elements according to one's desire. and a differentiation is made between a materialistic type of yoga, which has become a strangely prevalent practice in the modern age, with what genuine yoga is, accepting the transmigration of the soul from one planet to another, one body to another. In other words, a yoga that's not simply based upon material considerations and material transformations, or as it's said here, controlling the cells of the but a yoga which transcends the body entirely. I mean, there are lots of places where Prabhupada talks about mystic yogis and yogis in general and their ability to control the senses and achieve all kinds of mystic perfections. But ultimately, this is the perfection, not being able to simply manipulate material elements or produce amazing phenomena for the bewilderment of the general public, the ignorant public. It's that one can actually determine their direction. Mostly, we living entities in Kali Yuga have absolutely no idea what our next destination will be. But a yogi can be so advanced that he can determine that destination and go to it. Hare Krishna.
Anything else, Maharaj?
No.
No.
Oh, except, let's see, there was one thing. Yeah, in coming verses, we'll see reactions from all over the universe from those who asked the same questions that Panchatattva asked. How could Daksha be so hard-hearted?
Yeah, this reminds me of Mahabharata, where Bhishma Pita had that ability to leave whenever he wants. Venkatesh Prabhu, next please.
I had a quick question, my spiritual. Okay.
Sure.
Kurumaraj. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on 24th verse, the last line it says, "Those who desire to die should dress in cloth dyed with saffron." I kind of didn't understand that. Normally, saffron indicates renunciation.
Of course, renunciation is a kind of death also.
Oh,
The sannyasi is civilly dead. So that's consistent. But it seems that, yeah, I don't think I'll comment more, except that leave it at what's said.
okay.
In our chat box, Mukesh Prabhu says, Mother Sati had the power to kill Daksha, but she chose to leave. Similar to Lord Hanuman, who had the power to kill Ravana, but chose to leave Lanka, putting it on fire.
Yeah, neither of them was going to leave without creating some damage. Hanuman devastates or creates a devastating fire in Lanka, and Sati at least partially kills Daksha by giving up her own body.
Saraswati Mata asks, is Daksha a name of the Prajapati position so that different jivas can occupy this post? Because we know one Daksha will also offer beautiful prayers to Vishnu that pleases Vishnu, who gives him darshan.
There's no indication that these are two different Dakshas. As far as I've seen in the text, they're the same Daksha. And we find these things happening, that sometimes the demigods seem to act almost demonically. Sometimes they act very piously. So according to Krishna's desire, and these things happen.
Saraswati Mata adds a comment. Hanuman knew Ravana was Ram's kill.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we are approaching that time again, and let's see. Venkatesh Prabhu, you want to lead Kirtan, please? You're still muted. Okay,
Hare
that's
Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatyadesatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnu Bhagavan Supraya Jagacharya Shota Shota Shri Shri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Bhagavan Supraya Jagacharya Shota Shota Shri Shri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमस्ते दास ठाकुर की जय। जैसे कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपिनाथ श्याम सुंदर राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। नंदित मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माँ यमुना माँ की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। All gracious and devotees, all gracious and devotees, all grace, to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Venkatesh Prabhu, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you especially, Maharaj, for taking time out to read with us. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Aveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol.
This is not taking time out. This is the real business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
hosting Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna. It is 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna. Jaya Venkatesh. Thank you. Nice kirtan.
Thank you.
Jaya.
So,